Welcome to episode 7 of The Curious Cook. It's fall, it's getting cool outside, and time for some lovely, warm, hearty soups to fill up your belly and warm your soul.
We are your hosts, Athena Reich.
And Jase Grimm.
And our guest today is the award-winning writer Susan Miller. She's known for her work on The L Word and the award-winning series Anyone But Me. We're feeling starstruck, right, Jase?
Oh, I can't wait to meet her. I'm so excited.
Let's get started.
On this episode of The Curious Cook, we'll be making a chocolate chipotle pumpkin soup.
I'm melting. I can't wait to eat it.
It's gonna be delicious, and in fact, it's vegan.
Wow.
I know, right?
It's chocolate and it's vegan?
Both of those things. I had to resist putting bacon in it, but I held back. So the first thing we're gonna do is prepare the vessel for our soup. So I have this adorable, tiny squash. I'm not sure the variety, but it was super cute and I had to buy it.
It's gorgeous.
It is gorgeous. So any small, personal size, this is gonna end up being the bowl for your soup. So anything small and cute, anything that works for you. So what we're gonna do is just remove that top quarter very carefully with a very sharp knife.
Now, sometimes if you find it's really hard to cut through these kinds of squash pumpkins, sometimes I heat it in the microwave for 5 minutes and then it's easier to cut.
That is an excellent tip. That is good.
Hey, so are you.
So what we're gonna do now is remove these seeds. So come over to my compost bowl. And we'll be composting everything that we don't eat today. You know you can drop off your compost at the Union Square Green Market and then go back and get compost that was made with your tripping.
Cool.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Your community garden in New York.
I know. We're going green yet again.
Yay.
So we're just gonna scrape these out and we're gonna save these seeds. You know why?
Why?
Because we're gonna top our soup with them. This is an awesome recipe for fall and good use of pumpkins. I know I can't resist a good decorative gourd, obviously. So we have our pumpkin over on the sheet pan. I'm just gonna drizzle it with a little bit of oil. Great, and then I'm gonna sprinkle some salt because this will end up being eaten while we eat our soup. It's gonna be delicious. And a little bit of pepper, why not? And this is going to go in the oven at 350 degrees just until tender. And a term that I like to use is PFT, which is plastic fork tender. So if you could stick a plastic fork into it or a toothpick or I guess a metal fork would work too, but.
That's really specific, I like that.
Right? PFT.
PFT.
Plastic fork tender. So this is gonna go into the oven until it's beautiful bowl. So I got my sharp knife again. And this is a Long Island pumpkin, and the vendor at the Union Square Green Market assured me it was the best pumpkin that he had for making soups with.
So Long Island pumpkin, it looks a little less orange than other pumpkins. Is that because it's jaded?
It's jaded and polluted and a little bit bitter.
Okay.
But actually, it's going to be sweet
Not really
and
polluted.
delicious.
It's probably organic.
It is organic. In fact, all of these ingredients, except the coconut, chocolate, and chilies, are locally sourced. I just stopped by the green market and loaded up.
Nice.
So again, very carefully with a big sharp knife, I'm gonna cut this into quarter.
That's a good knife.
This is an awesome knife and very seasonally appropriate. It's almost
Okay, put it down.
Just reminds me so much of the fall and carving pumpkins and
Yeah. The fall is, oh my gosh, it's one of the best seasons.
it's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. Did you ever collect leaves as a kid and then press them in a book?
No, but it's
What?
fun.
Really? Is that a Canadian
We were more
thing?
of like a rake and jump into the pile sort of family.
That's good too.
So now that we have a whole bunch of seeds, I think that'll be enough to top our soup with right there.
Great.
Awesome. We can just set those aside. And I'll work on dicing up this pumpkin. So we're just gonna dice this up. And the shape doesn't really matter because it's all gonna get pureed anyway.
Looks like cantaloupe.
It kind of does look like a melon, doesn't it? You could trick somebody into eating it raw. Finish dicing this. So this goes up here.
Okay.
And all of our pumpkin goes right into here. And you're gonna toss while I add the rest of our ingredients.
Okay.
We have our carrots, celery, pumpkin, thyme, garlic,
It's starting to
oil.
smell gorgeous.
It already smells really good,
Yeah,
right?
the pumpkin and the thyme.
So good, so seasonal. And I'm finished chopping this leek here. And like I said, just nice rough chop. It's all gonna get pureed, it doesn't really matter. As long as they're all roughly the same size, they'll cook evenly. And then while you're tossing, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. And again, a French method to go along with our mirepoix.
I think
You're
we should do
making
a rap.
music over here.
I said, hey yo, The
Soup time.
curious cook.
It's soup time.
Soup time. It's soup time. The curious cook. Oh!
All right, so now that we have everything tossed together and well seasoned, we're gonna spread it on a single layer on our baking sheet here.
Still pat?
We're gonna go straight onto this.
All
It'll
right.
the metal and the contact between like the oil and the vegetables will help it caramelize a little bit better. Silpat might keep it a little soggy. And we're just gonna roast this in the oven at 350 degrees for 30 to 45 minutes or until the pumpkin is tender and starting to turn brown around the outside. GBD.
GBD?
GBD.
What's that?
Golden brown and delicious, girl.
Oh, okay. So many.
Always. Yeah, I know. PFT, GBD.
I can't keep track. I feel like it's a math class. What's happening?
It's all right. Our pumpkins, both the whole pumpkin and the chopped pumpkin, is in the oven roasting away to delicious perfection. And while that's happening, we're gonna heat up our coconut water.
Awesome.
And if you don't want to use coconut water or don't know where to find it, you can use vegetable stock, or if you're not a vegetarian, chicken stock would be really good in this recipe too. I have a quart of coconut water. I might not use it all, but I'm gonna have it all hot just in case. And you'll have to adjust based on consistency that you want, how thick or how thin you want your soup, how much your vegetables cook down, and all that good news. So here are our roasted vegetables.
Nice.
They look lovely. So here's the top of my blender. And this tool is called a bench scraper, and it's one of my favorite tools in the kitchen. It's really good for doing things like this.
Perfect.
So these roasted vegetables are going straight into my blender top. And you could use a sauce pot and an immersion blender like you have at home. Any way you can get these vegetables baby ass smooth for your soup. I love a good velvety soup. And I'm just gonna start with enough liquid to cover it, and then we can add more or less as needed.
Okay.
So here's this hot. And then if you grab that little jar of Chipotle peppers there.
Wow, they smell really spicy.
Yeah, they are pretty spicy. So let's find a nice small one here.
Okay.
What's that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks like a winner. Excellent. Boop. And you can add more or less depending on how spicy you like your soup. But I think the spice with the sweet pumpkin and the chocolate, you need a little bit of warming in there.
Yeah,
Little something, something. And it adds a really nice color to the soup as well. Always hold the top of your blender down, especially when you're doing hot things, because that hot is going to expand and has the potential to blowing the top off your blender. Very, very important thing to do is you always taste your recipes. No matter how many times you've made it, no matter how closely you follow that recipe, taste it, and then you'll have to adjust for seasonings and stuff like that.
This sounds like nothing I have to remind myself to do. It sounds natural and fun.
It should be easy, right? So here's your delicious little tasting spoon. Get a little bit on there. And we're mainly adjusting for salt, consistency, and heat right now. What do you think?
I mean, it's totally gorgeous. Some salt would be
A
good.
little bit of salt, I agree with you. I have some pumpkins that I prepared earlier. 3 adorable little pumpkins.
They are adorable.
They multiplied in the oven.
That's what I was wondering. What happened?
Well, you see, Athena, when 2 baby pumpkins love each other very much and you put them in a dark, warm space, they multiply.
Wow, but that doesn't make sense when you put one in. But still, it came from love.
Oh God, that's true.
It's all right.
That's
It's
all
all
right.
about love and multiplication.
We're
good.
down with that. I'm gonna very carefully pour our puree into this little pumpkin.
Oh,
Isn't that just the cutest thing?
so cute.
And to this, I'm going to add our coconut cream, and that's gonna add a little bit of white on top, a little bit of creaminess, and cool it down just a tiny bit. And then a piece of this awesome Mexican chocolate, and that'll melt and get all gooey. And finally, finish it with our roasted pumpkin seeds. Final touch, a little green on the plate with some thyme, and let's go do this interview.
And here we are with the award-winning writer, Susan Miller. Thank you so much for coming.
Well, I'm being fed, so I'm very happy.
That's how we entice all of our guests. And actually what we're having today is a chocolate chipotle pumpkin soup. Figured it was very appropriate now it's getting colder outside, and served in its own little pumpkin bowl.
So Susan, how did you become a playwright, and did you always want to be a writer?
You know, my first thing I ever wrote was kind of a rip-off of the Nancy Drew books.
Oh,
yeah,
gosh. Yeah.
The Mystery at the Old Swimming Hole.
Is every young lesbian like Nancy Drew, or is that just me?
Well, I didn't know then that I was,
But that was your first
that was
clue.
my first, yeah. And then, you know, in school, I was a theater major in college. I mean, and actor. I thought I wanted to be an actor. But I also started to take a lot of dramatic literature courses, and somehow they coalesced, you know, and I fell in love with Ionesco and Pinter and Beckett, and I wrote my first play called No One is Exactly 23, when I was 23, of course.
But you weren't exactly.
But no, and that was the whole thing. The whole thing about that theatrical experience is things aren't exactly as they are, and I can do whatever I want here in this magical space. You know, I can break that fourth wall. I can have people talk to the audience. I can, you know, it just seemed the right place for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It seems like you kind of like to push your boundaries a little bit.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. We're big fans of your web series, Anyone But Me. How did you come about creating that, and like, how is that medium different from the other mediums that you work with?
Well, first of all, it's become like kind of my favorite way to work, in a way, because although it was a collaborative effort with Tina Cecil Ward, it just, the biggest thing about it is you're not waiting for anybody to say yes, no, maybe, not answer you at all when you submit something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we did it ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, we own it, and it's like the freedom of that, and the responsibility, of course, and the hard work, because you just wake in the morning and go to bed at night, you know, thinking, okay, who can I contact next to get more views? Or, you know, how can I, you know, expand the universe of this web series? But I love it.
So can you talk a bit about social media and platforms? And you said you would wake up in the night thinking, how do I get more viewers? How do you get more viewers?
Well, first of all, you have to know that about a year before we started this, I didn't even know what email was. So I went to
Classic Playwright.
Yeah, exactly.
I deal with people in black space.
That's
black
correct.
box.
That's correct. What is this? But it was fun to learn. It was also just very, very time consuming. But social media is absolutely essential in a lot of places now, but certainly for a web series. I mean, it's on the web. And so I went on Facebook, I went on Twitter, and it's here's the thing, you're engaged, you have to be engaged with fans. You have to let them know that they're important. And I remember once I answered, because I don't answer everything, but I answered it, there was a tweet, and I responded to it. And then this person tweeted, "Oh my God, Susan Miller just tweeted me." And I realized, well, you know, for me that wasn't a big deal. It just seemed the thing to do. And that told me just how important that engagement was.
Would you have any advice for any young wannabe playwrights or writers out there?
Hi, y'all. I think a few things, but one, write what you want to, in the way you want to. Don't, at least at first, I mean, that's the time when there's no risk. So don't try to please anyone or write to what you think is in the marketplace, which is hot now, because it won't be forever. I mean, I think it's finding your voice and you know, being true to that voice. You know, not that you don't ever want to hear other people's thoughts or notes, but you have to develop that first. So people, you know, look at your work, see your work, read it, and go, I can identify that. That's you know, that's Athena's work. That's Jase. I can see it. Even as it changes and grows.
I think it's almost time for a little game, if you would be interested.
I'm nervous and thrilled.
We'll be playing a bit of a spin on Hangman, and all of the answers are the names of your works, so they should be pretty quick to pick up. You might be able to guess it just by the number of letters alone, but you could
think that.
if we need help, then I can narrow it down.
Well,
but I have so much faith in you.
what it is. I just guessed.
Well, it can't be 30.
He didn't tell me.
And it's, oh, well, sure it is. It's the L word.
Ah,
There you go.
ta-da!
I got thrown because I call it, L word, but it's the L word.
It is technically the L
All right, that
word.
was pretty good, though.
Yes.
Well done. That
You didn't even get ahead.
I know you didn't.
No body.
That's one of my favorite pieces of work of yours. Absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit about writing on that?
It's so amazing to be on at the beginning of something, first of all. It just is. And, with everybody's, opinions and trying to come up with story ideas. So basically we arced the whole thing. I still have those. I have those sessions. Yes, I'm holding on to them.
You should.
I know, because
Yeah.
they're interesting and
Lesbian history
that's
right there.
exactly.
Gold.
Herstory.
So made it somewhere. So anyway, that first season was they had shot a pilot. Not a lot of people know that.
Mhm.
Maybe you do.
I do.
And it wasn't called the L Word. It was called Earthlings.
I did not know that.
Uh-huh. And they wanted some changes and to redo that. And so Eileen Chaikin redid that. And the first season was fairly true to what I thought was the essence of the show, and then it kind of derailed. It became something else, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
But just to see, I don't care. Some people would say, well, there aren't enough butches here, or this isn't enough.
That's the thing. Everyone wanted it to represent all of lesbians everywhere, and it was
Yeah.
so annoying. I was
Yeah.
like, it's a TV show.
Right.
Like, it represents what it represents.
Right.
And they have to tell a story at the end of the day. They can't do, like, the rainbow lesbian show. Like,
I know.
no, give them a break. But that's when you pioneer something.
Yes.
Everybody projects these expectations.
Totally.
We have one more for you, and I think you're on a roll now, so this should probably be almost second nature. And we've already discussed this piece once today.
Oh, that's a good answer.
Right? All right, just based on that alone. Oh,
I think
yeah.
I needed another.
Yeah, I do.
That's 3 words.
It is indeed.
Yes, I think it could be anyone but me.
Yay.
Well done. And that's the web series that we were talking about earlier.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, this was so much fun.
Thank you
Right,
so much.
Our pleasure. Where can we follow you and see more of your work?
You can follow me. First of all, I have a website, SusanMillerPlaywright.com. And then on Facebook, it's just, I think it's Susan Miller NYC.
Okay.
And that's my Twitter account also.
Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Ta-ta.